Yo, welcome back, everybody. It's week 6, cashing points. And man, it's good to have the whole crew back. I mean, Wes was phenomenal last 2 weeks, but we got the whole crew back. John Proctor is back. And Proctor, I mean, it's up to you, man. I mean, if you want to tell the whole family what happened here and your kind of fun life shit that happened, you got the floor right here. So last 2 weeks you've been out, big life event happened.
Yeah, I was traveling, got married, went just eloped, didn't do the big marriage thing, kept it plus EV in life, and now I'm back to reality. So yeah, good to get back to it, man.
Yeah, well, huge congrats again. It was cool hanging. We got to hang on Thursday or Friday night before you guys left. By the way, how was the airport? Did you guys have any like issues with the shutdowns and everything?
We did not. We had just missed it.
Nice.
A Raven though had he was at a wedding, I guess that same weekend in Florida, and had to take like a 15-hour train home or whatever.
Ooh.
So we like just dodged it by like 2 days.
Nice. You got lucky, man. Yeah. Well, you miss Colorado at all? You guys missed the cold weather. It got down to like 35 last night.
Yeah, I mean Colorado is awesome, but I will say that I think Denver is a little overrated. People want to hype up Denver, but it's pretty similar to every other big city. But like if you want to go to Colorado, go like to the places that other cities don't have. Go like to the outskirts of Colorado. That's where it's really cool.
Yeah, you want to live up in the mountains. Ultimately, that's where we want to move to, is like up in the mountains, but it's just insanely expensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But that's ultimately what we want to do.
Yeah, cold weather. I can't relate. It's 90 degrees right now. It's amazing in Houston. I did a road trip through rural Colorado maybe like 3 months ago. And it was awesome. It was just like so insanely beautiful. Like everywhere I was, I like pissed in the middle of a creek that was just like picturesque. And
interestingly, that's also what people do in Denver, is they just piss everywhere.
Is that right?
Yeah, Denver's got a really bad homeless problem downtown right now. It's bad.
Hopefully Jerry Judy is going to do that. Just going to piss all over everyone once he gets back.
It's coming soon, dude. It's coming soon. Yeah. Denver is downtown, man. I visited here a couple times, like a couple years ago, and it was not nearly this bad. It's just pandemic and everything's kind of just ruined a lot of major downtown cities for all those different reasons. But on a more happy note, let's talk through this week 6 slate. We have a shit ton of injuries. There is a lot that man, we just don't really know about off the top. And let's get started with Chargers Ravens. Kind of huge news here. Mike Williams has not practiced all week, didn't practice again today. It's not looking great. Sammy Watkins on the Ravens side. Sammy Watkins is out. They're going to get Rashad Bateman back though, so we'll see Bateman probably play in like 30 to 35% of the snaps. But I think Watkins missing and Bateman making his appearance just kind of helps Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews' already solid volume. I mean, we saw a super condensed target tree last week when Watkins went out. And I think we're going to see something pretty similar, especially if the Chargers get ahead in this game. I know the Ravens are favored, but I'm on the Chargers side. I kind of can't figure out why the Ravens are favored here. Chargers are red hot. Guys, I really don't think we will be able to like discuss this game too much just with Mike Williams out, most likely missing. But I mean, obviously, if he does miss, it just boosts Keenan and Eckler a lot more. Chargers are super condensed, just like the Ravens should be this week too. And if Williams misses, it's smash for Keenan and huge for Eckler too.
Yeah.
So I go ahead, Johnny.
No, I was just gonna say that like the beat reporters seem positive on Mike Williams, but I really don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea, man. I have no idea. This kind of popped up out of nowhere.
So I think regardless of Mike Williams' status, I think Keenan Allen is one of the best plays on the slate. I think he's going to get lower ownership. He's just a massive XFP value. Like he ranks 4th in XFP per game, 21st in fantasy points per game. So major regression candidate. He's had 62 receiving yards called back due to penalty. And then it's just like an ideal matchup. Even if Mike Williams plays, it's a perfect slot funnel defense. The Ravens, they used to be shut down against slot wide receivers, Marlon Humphrey, whatever. But this year they're giving up the 6th most to slot wide receivers, the 4th fewest fantasy points per game to outside wide receivers. Jared Cook is popping as a slight tight end value, but there's some other guys who are well above him, in my opinion. Austin Eckler, I think is interesting just because like I'd have him as the highest projected running back on the slate, assuming McCaffrey misses, but he's, quite a bit cheaper than the typical RB1. And then there's a lot to talk about on the Ravens side as well. Yeah. Also Justin Herbert, I want to get your guys' thoughts there, because I ran a bunch of my models, and in some he's popping, and others he's not high at all.
Yeah.
I think Justin Herbert is interesting in the sense that I think this game goes a little less owned than the Washington Chiefs game. But then again, if Tyreek and Terry McLaurin miss, then I think this game ends up higher owned, which is sort of just kind of how we're going back and forth this week. Herbert, I played a good bit of Herbert last week because nobody was really on him. This week, I think Herbert will be somewhat popular, but he will be way less popular than Lamar. I mean, Lamar is going to be the highest owned quarterback we've seen all season. I think he could push for like 25+% ownership on DraftKings and in most fields. I mean, that's hard to stomach.
So that was going to be my next question. Moving on to Baltimore side is, he's just the number one cash play on both sites, right? Okay. And then the receivers, I think, are all interesting just because this happens so often where some guys go absolutely nuclear on Monday night, but pricing is already released. So they're immense values. I think Mark Andrews, then you can make a case for Ricky Seals-Jones, but otherwise it's like the clear must play tight end, especially on FanDuel. Hollywood Brown, I can't hype him up just because every time I hype him up, he falls back down to earth. But he ranks 6th in fantasy points per game. I think he's like the wide receiver 15 by price. So clear value there. The one concern is Los Angeles is terrific against the deep ball. That's Derwin James. They rank 2nd best in yards per game allowed on deep targets to wide receivers. And then I think Rashad Bateman's legitimately intriguing. He's minimum price. Sammy Watkins is out. When he was healthy, he saw at least 7 targets in every single game. He was averaging like 66 receiving yards per game. He's minimum price on DraftKings. So volleying it back to you guys, Andrews must play ? Hollywood a top 5 value ? And is Rashad Bateman better than let's say Amon-Ra St. Brown or some of the other very cheap wide receiver punts?
Amon-Ra is just unplayable, but we'll get to there. My big thing with this game, so like when the Chargers play the Chiefs, they were like, okay, like the Chiefs, like CEH is like garbage, so like we'll just like let him run on us. And the Ravens running backs are like way more garbage. So my only concern with this game on the Ravens side is the Chargers are totally down with just like letting teams run the ball on them. I think they're like top 3 against wide receiver ones. I think Brandon Staley will obviously, his number one goal will not, to be not allowing Hollywood to just dunk on them on the back end. I don't know. This is a weird game because I hate playing Baltimore at like elevated ownership because they're such a streaky team with Lamar.
So the point you brought up with the running game, I mean, Lamar just threw for 4 touchdowns and 444 passing yards, and he can run too. So maybe that's a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah. The one thing that I'm really excited about is this Ravens defense sucks right now. I mean, they played in a super deep zone last week against the Colts and just gave up everything. Chargers could come out and just steamroll them, and that would obviously be huge for Lamar's volume. And this is a great spot for Andrews, man. I mean, the Chargers, like Scott, you mentioned it, they're playing super deep zone. They're just not allowing anybody to get beat deep, and they're really good against the deep ball. I mean, their efficiency, I think they've had like 4 deep ball completions on them all year, but it's also made their tight end defense kind of trash. They're giving up the most fantasy points per target and the second most yards per game to the tight end. So yeah, Andrews is going to be chalk, but he's a phenomenal play.